Tremendous here. Got a battle report here for you. This is a 2,000 point battle of my ogres versus some orcs and goblins. Yeah, it's been months, but I finally got to face off against the greenskins again, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is a great game. An individual that reached out on Discord wanted to play a game. He's in the Owl GT, although this is not an actual Owl GT game. We did use one of the scenarios, or at least one of the map packs with the rules. We'll go over that in just a second, but fantastic game, fantastic opponent, really had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get into it, so sit back, relax, and get ready to see the carnage. Here's my list, and there's been no changes because I want to get as much practice in with this one as possible. So I have my Slaughter Master, who's my general, level 4 wizard with illusion, Butcher's Cauldron, Grut Sickle, Blood Cleaver, and the Potion of Strength. My Hunter is a scout with additional hand weapons and a harpoon launcher. He's got the Armor of Silver and Steel, a Cathayan Jet Pendant, and Long Strider big names. Last but not least is my Bruiser, Lord Tremendous. He's got a Thunder Tusk. He's my BSB with the Rampaging Banner. He's got the Armor of Meteoric Iron, Talisman of Protection, and the big name Death Cheater. In core, I have 2 Saber Tusks that have the Scout Special Rule that go with the Hunter, 20 Noblar Fighters, 3 Ogre Bulls butt naked, and 7 Iron Guts with full command, the Bull Standard, and Veteran. Rounding out my army is an Iron Blaster and 4 Mournfang Cavalry with Banner, Musician, the Cannibal Totem, Great Weapons, and Heavy Armor. Here's my opponent's list, and I was excited to face this one because I haven't seen Orcs and Goblins in a long time. He's got 696 points of character, starting with his Goblin Oddnob, who's his general. He's a level 4 wizard with Elementalism, and has a lore familiar, very bare bones, which is pretty common for goblins. Then he's got a Night Goblin Oddnob, who's just a level 4 wizard with Wog Magic. He's got a second Night Goblin Oddnob, level 4 wizard with Illusion with the Ruby Ring of Ruin. And then an Orc Big Boss, who's his BSB with the War Banner. He's on a War Boar. He's got Heavy Armor, a Cav Spear, the Collar of Zorga, and a Charm Shield. In core, he's got 20 Goblin Spider Riders with Standard, Musician, Light Armor, and Short Bows. 49 Night Goblins with Standard, Musician, the Spider Banner, Light Armor, Short Bows, and 3 Fanatics. And then 11 Orc Boar Boys with the Big 'Un Special Rule, Full Command, Cav Spears, Shields, Heavy Armor, the Thinkin' Orcs Act, and the Big Red Raggedy Flag. Then in rare, he's got 2 Doom Diver Catapults and 2 Mangler Squigs. So it's a real solid army. Here are my spells for this one. Glittering Robes, Column of Crystal, Something Confusion, the Stupidity one, and Spectral Doppelganger. My opponent has all the wizards, so he got for his Illusion Caster, Mind Razor, Glittering Robe, Column of Crystal, and Spectral Doppelganger. His Wog Caster got Itchy Nuisance, Vindictive Glare, some Evil Sun Shining, and Foot of Gork. And then his last one, his Elemental, got Plague of Rust, Earthen Ramparts, Wind Blast, and Travel Mystical Pathways. Holy crap, that's a lot of magic. We decided to use the Owl terrain just for fun, and this is the one that we ended up taking. It's just going to be a pitched battle type of thing, but this is what all the terrain means. It's what the issues are, so if you see us taking dangerous terrain checks every time we touch the woods, this is why. And here's deployment. So for my part, I thought maybe my Mournfang coming around on the flank would be great, and just have the bulk of my army in the center to square off against his. I'm hoping that since he's got so many numbers, forcing him to go through the woods would be huge. Just to let you know right off the bat, you see his Orc Boar Boys in the woods. He thought this army had some sort of banner or some sort of rule that gave him move through cover. We figured it out in like the bottom of turn 1 or something like that, that they didn't. So that was a mistake, but by the time we figured it out, I had already moved. Things had already moved, so it was too late to redeploy. So that's why this situation's like that. But my plan was, if I can get him to go through the woods to do stuff, it's a ton of dangerous terrain, especially if I can get his goblins or something to do that. So I was really hoping to use the terrain to my advantage. On the left side there, though, I do have my Iron Blaster. The idea was going to move him up and shoot down that left flank lane right there at his Mangler Squigs, whatever presented itself. I know I can't shoot through the woods, but if I can land the cannonball on top of them, it still counts as at least 1 hit. but that's what I was hoping, was kind of use the cannonballs, take care of the bigger things. In the center there, I've got my bulls, my iron guts, and then the batteries right behind them, just getting ready to do their thing. Again, I plan on moving them up in front of the woods and waiting. And then, of course, I've got my bruiser behind the woods, because the plan there is I don't care about taking one dangerous terrain test. I will go through the woods and risk it. And then the Mournfang I already explained on the right flank, with my hunter scouting in his back rank there. He's going war machine hunting as soon as possible. For my opponent's deployment on our left flank, his right, he's got a Doom Diver. Next to them is a Mangler Squig. Then there's the huge unit of Night Goblins with Fanatics. I believe two of his Night Goblin odd knobs are in there, including his general. And in true tradition, I go last. So my opponent is going first. And he comes forward. He did get Travel Mystical Pathways off, and that's why the huge horde of goblins just moved over like that. 12 inches looks so much bigger on the table, let me tell you. The rest of his stuff, his Mangler Squigs just kind of repositioned slightly. One of his casters moved out of the unit and just kind of moved up to where you see him. The Boar Boy stayed put, because this is about when we figured out he had to take dangerous terrain. And then the Spider Riders turned to face the Hunter, because they didn't want him killing off the Doom Divers too quickly. Other than that, not a whole lot of movement. In the shooting phase, yeah, the 567 shots that he fired at the large target Iron Blaster, I forgot he was a large target, worked really, really well, and he obliterated the poor guy. I tried, but I think he did like 9 or 10 wounds. It was incredible. Then his Doom Diver Catapult took aim at the Iron Guts. It did deviate a little bit. He readjusted and ended up right here, which allowed him 3 partials on the Iron Guts, and I think 6 partials on the Noblars. As hilarious as this is, the only thing that ended up wounding was the small hole underneath them. I took 2 wounds onto the Iron Guts, and the Nobblers were fine. He missed a lot of the partials. The second Doom Diver took aim at the Iron Guts and ended up landing right here, which is a solid hit for the hole, and then 5 partials. Not happy. Damn thing is too accurate. Ended up killing an Ogre and putting 2 wounds on another. Oh man, I wish I had regen up. This is why I wanted to go first. That takes us to bottom of turn 1, and here it is after movement. This is really it. The Mournfangs shoot forward as far as they can. The Hunter stays put, because he's going to shoot at the Doom Diver. He need a 3 or a 4. I think I'm less than 18 inches away, so I need a 3 followed by a 2, and then hopefully I can do enough wounds to kill it. Spoiler, I hit, and then I roll a 1 to wound, because that's just life. The bulls shoot forward to threaten the goblins. I'm fine with them shooting at the bulls if that's what they want to do, but I'm hoping to actually get something into them. Maybe even get the fanatics to release a little bit early. The Iron Guts move up slightly, but not much, because there's no reason to, and my bruiser moves up because I need him to get into combat with anything. I'm hoping that his boar boys have to charge me, or at least want to force those dangerous terrain checks, because that would be a lot. I take mine and pass no problem, and that's literally it for my turn. Nothing else happens. We go to top of 2, and yeah, a little bit more movement, not a crazy amount. His Mangler Squig does end up charging through the woods. I did put up the Column of Crystal just to try to deter him from doing that. It didn't work. He does charge into the flank of the bulls, passing his dangerous terrain, no problem. He gets Travel Mystical Pathways off again. I tried. My Slaughtermaster's just not feeling it today, and he puts the, the goblins back way up top there. They will get a few pot shots at the bruiser, but I'm not super concerned about it. The Spider Riders just kind of reform and move a little bit. It's not, I don't know. But yeah, that's where they end up. Not a big deal. The Boar Boys stay put. The other Mangler Squig on the left flank there just kind of moves forward a little bit, and really that's it for movement. In the shooting phase, his Doom Diver takes aim at the Iron Guts once again and hits really good. Again, another solid hit for the hole, and then 5 partials. I get pretty lucky, though, and I just suffer 1 wound. I roll real well for my regens, and he doesn't roll great for his wounding. So 1 more Iron Gut dies, which sucks, but it's only the guy that had 2 wounds on him already. I'm okay. We go into combat, and it does not go well for me at all. I take 4 wounds total, losing a guy. I do nothing back to him, I don't believe. Maybe 1 that he regened, I can't remember. But, yeah, he wins basically 6-2, so by 4... I get lucky though, and I actually do make my my check. Barely, but I'll take it. And yeah, I was wrong. I did do a wound to him. He just didn't put it on there until after I took this picture. That's my fault. But either way, I fall back in good order, and he follows up. So now it's looking a little bit better for the Bulls. We'll see. These guys have pulled off some crazy stuff before. Here we are in bottom of turn 2, and again, I just kind of come forward. There's really nothing to charge or anything like that yet. The Iron Guts were not in line of sight to try to help out the Bulls, so they're on their own. We move up right next to the column of crystal and stop because, impassable terrain is just that. My Bruiser moves up out of the woods again to entice the Boar Boys. I effing dare you. The Mornfang, I don't believe, could charge the Spider Riders. If they could, I failed. I don't remember if I tried the charge or not, I got to be honest, but I did move up a little bit more, as close to them as I could. I don't care if I charge them or the Doom Diver. I need to charge something. As you can see, he did get his column crystal off, and I failed to dispel it. And the Hunter stays right where he's at because there's no reason to get charged by the Spider Riders. I just didn't know how he would do in that combat, and I didn't feel like testing it. I figure making him come at me was smarter. Yeah, that's really it for movement, though. Nothing happens in shooting, so we go straight into combat, and the Mangler Squigs are able to decimate the Bulls. It wasn't even close. I think his impact hits alone did it. The one good thing for me, though, is he's unable to restrain. He fails his leadership check and fires forward quite a bit. He does touch the woods, passes dangerous terrain, no problem, and ends up sitting right there. Couldn't even turn to face. So I did luck out there. We'll see how that goes for me. And that takes us to top of 3. And as you can see on the left flank there, his Mangler Squig does spin out. He does a little swerve in order to get out of woods and takes a wound for his trouble. That's right, the dangerous terrain. The plan is working. His Boar Boys start to see what I'm trying to do, and they back up, which forced the dangerous terrain on them and kills 2 of them, which, again, is working out in my favor. Very pleased. His Spider Riders move up to try to finish off my Hunter, and at this point, it's like, yeah, I've got to kill them. I'm done. He does get Column of Crystal and puts it in my way, which is very, very smart. His Goblins, I believe he gets Travel Mystical Pathways off, and I'll show you why in just a second, but he couldn't fit them anywhere that met the criteria and still got him in range, and didn't force like 50 dangerous terrain checks, so we decided to just leave them right there. I think he took 1 dangerous terrain check and obviously passed, but yeah, things are getting a little cramped. This is what the Ogres do. They kind of box you into a corner. So I'm hoping these last 3 turns work out for me because the first 3 have definitely gone in my opponent's favor. So my opponent tried to cast Travel Mystical Pathways, and I was like, no, foul goblin, I will not allow it. And the Slaughter Master opened his big mouth and got punched by a demon. I miscast 3, which is possibly one of the worst results I could have gotten. It's not the end of the world, though, fortunately. I end up taking 2 wounds. So I don't lose any more Iron Guts, but yeah, that really sucked. In the shooting phase, those goblin bastards. I don't remember how many were actually in range, could see, and shot at me. The Mangler Squigs actually really helped out because they're a large target as well. So it did block some line of sight, but some were able to shoot. A couple got through, and 1 actually, made me bleed a little bit. So down to 7 wounds. Not thrilled about that. I want to kill some goblins. That takes us over here to bottom of 3, and things start turning around for me a little bit here. So at the beginning, in his shooting phase, I forgot to take a picture, but as you can see, there's a foot of Gork, or possibly Mork, on the table, and it is strangely behind goblins, and there seems to be some goblins missing. He put the foot right up next to my Iron Guts, and it turned on him and went exactly where you see it. Bounced through the goblins, it bounced through his character, and did a ton of damage, and now it's in a really bad place for him. I ended up moving forward into the woods with my Iron Guts, took a dangerous terrain or 2, lost another Iron Gut because branches hurt. My Bruiser moved up, daring something to charge him. I want all the smoke, and on the right flank there, the Mornfang and the Hunter charged into his Spider Riders because they're in my way, and I'm tired of his Doom Divers shooting at me. That was pretty much all my movement. Here's a better picture of the foot of Gork doing its thing. He ended up killing 4 of the Night Goblins and doing 2 wounds to the Goblin Odd Knob there, which was huge. Somewhere Shyhammer's looking out for me, and thank you, buddy. That brings us into combat, and yeah, I kill a lot of these guys. I think 15 in total, leaving I think about 5 guys left. I have 15 combat res to his maybe 1. I win by a lot. They break, they flee, and my Mornfang didn't really move up that much because of the Cannibal Totem. I can only roll 1d6. But the Hunter, he makes it forward, he catches them and runs them down, and I don't bother with trying to redirect them because they're skirmishers. I'm going after that Doom Diver next turn. Simple as that. Well, this is the first time this happened in a while, but yeah, I failed to get the picture at top of turn 4 after movement. But I'm going to show you why. I was really distracted. So at the top of the turn, before he could dispel it, his Foot of Gork has to be moved. And it moved the perfect angle to bounce through his goblins, his boar boys, his character, and his Doom Diver, as you can see here, prior to rolling for damage. So this Foot of Magnificence ends up doing 6 wounds to the Night Goblins, 2 to the Boar Boys, outright kills his Illusion Caster, and puts 1 wound on the Doom Diver. This thing's been the MVP of my army, and as you can see, it does go off the table, so it's gone after this, but wow! Wow, that has been the best spell that I've cast this entire game, let me tell you. Unbelievable. In the shooting phase, he gets Foot of Gork off again. As you can see, puts it right there. My Iron Guts were a little closer a second ago. His Mangler Squig did just miss me by literally an inch. Thank you, Woods. But he hits me with Wind Blast and did some damage and knocked me back out of the woods. I took the Dangerous Terrain and everything. I was fine. But as you can see, I'm down to 3 Iron Guts and my Slaughtermaster. So we need to do something fast. His goblins have a lot more shots at me this time and end up getting 1 more wound through, which is really, really good. I'm happy with that. With that, here's bottom of 4 after movement, and yes, I'll show you in a second what happened with the Foot. It did not hit me again. Shyhammer protects. We charge into the Mangler Squig that's in the woods. I do take Dangerous Terrain for the Iron Guts and take another wound, but my Bruiser is fine. The Hunter goes into the Doom Diver Catapult, and the Mornfang move up around. Just it's time to start collapsing on these guys and hopefully doing enough damage to win. And that's really it for my movement. Oh, there it is. The Foot of Gork taking out the Mangler Squig for me. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. With that, we go straight into combat because nothing happens during shooting, and we're able to obliterate the Mangler Squig, which is really, really good. That thing is super dangerous. I reform with my Bruiser, taking Dangerous Terrain and taking a wound for it, and the Iron Guts fire forward as much as I can, and they actually pass all their Dangerous Terrain, so isn't it ironic? In the combat with the Doom Diver, my Hunter's easily able to finish off that last wound or 2, and I'm able to restrain, and then just for the picture more than anything else, I turn face the Boar Boys, because getting them in the flank would be awesome. All right, and with this, here's top of turn 5. It's a little bit after the movement phase. He got Itchy Nuisance, Plague of Rust off on my Iron Guts, which is really bad. I miscast at one point and lost another bull, which really sucks. And his Orc Boar Boys charge into my Bruiser. I think he lost 1 more due to Dangerous Terrain. I'm feeling pretty confident about that one, though. It could go poorly, but I'm going to challenge. Either his BSB is going to fall back, or I'm going to kill it. Either way, I'm feeling pretty good about how this is going. And yeah, that was really it for movement. We go into combat and I issue a challenge. The challenge is accepted, I believe, by his boss, not the BSB, but the other guy. It is crazy close. I end up getting 6 combat res. He gets 5. I win by 1. Totally lucked out here. Since he only lost by 1 and his general and BSB and everything are right there, he does make his break check and just gives ground 2 inches. However, it does force more Dangerous Terrain checks, which gives him another wound, and I take another wound for the same reason. So, yay! And I did it again. Bottom of turn 5, I don't have a picture because kind of a lot happened. Let me show you. So at the beginning of my turn, he released his Fanatics, which just devastated me. I knew they were coming. I should have thought. I just got too caught up in the idea that this was going to be cool. All three of the lunatics bounce through my bruiser, no problem, and takes out one of my iron guts. My bruiser has one wound left. I am terrified I'm about to lose this game. Dangerous terrain, all of that. I'm screwed. And now I don't have enough iron guts to deal with the goblins. So, fuck. We go into combat because that's all I got left, and I am able to get a hold of his BSB this time. I obliterate him, and I win 6-3. So that's better. I know that last wound's coming off. I just don't know when. He ends up rolling well enough that he just falls back in good order. I go after him. I slam into him. I take 2 dangerous terrain checks and pass both of them. Thank God. He doesn't. He's down to 3 guys. And yeah, we end up back in combat right here. I am scared to death. We go to top of 6, and yeah, you're looking at it. Luckily for me, the Fanatics, 2 of them die. I think he rolled doubles. One of them goes the exact wrong direction, so I'm thrilled about that. And he decides not to charge into the flank with his goblins, which I guess I lucked out with. I really did. So everything's right where you're seeing it, and yeah, let's get to the end. In shooting, he fires everything he's got left into my Iron Guts, putting 3 onto my Slaughtermaster, and I think the Iron Gut already had a wound, so I'm down to just fumes here. And then his Wizard fires off Plague of Rust, and then I think it's Wind Blast or something like that, and finishes off the Slaughtermaster and the remaining Iron Gut. Oh, it's the first time I've lost that unit like this, and it hurts. It hurts deep. We go into combat, and I'm able to finish off his Orc Boar Boys, which is really, really good. I've still only got 1 wound left, and I'm kind of terrified. I do restrain and reform. I do take the dangerous terrain and pass. I know. I'm begging for it, right? But his goblins actually failed their panic check for unit destroyed within 6 or 8 or whatever. That's unit strength 5 or more. But since they're above 50%, he just falls back in good order. He goes very, very, short amount of distance, as you can see, turns around and faces me. So that could have been huge, but everything was done correctly, and that's where he ends up. So it is what it is. So we go to the bottom of 6, and I just stop. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not moving. I don't want to take a chance anymore. I don't want to take any more dangerous terrain. I've got 1 wound left on my bruiser. I'm done. His Fanatic moves, doesn't hit my Mournfang, doesn't do anything. So there it is. There's the end of the game. And believe it or not, this was a draw. A really, really close draw. My opponent got 1,101 points out of me. I got 1,111 points out of him for a difference of 10 points. How badass was that? This game was a nail biter. Really, really well played by my opponent the entire time. And I just want to take a moment to personally thank the Foot of Gork once again for making this game even close. Oh, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into the recap because this was awesome. So first and foremost, let me apologize for missing those 2 pictures. As you saw, it was a very intense game, so kind of a lot happened, so that's why. But speaking of intense, that Foot of Gork was game-changing. I don't mean to laugh. That was insane how much it helped me. Honestly, if it hadn't been for the Foot of Gork, it probably would have been a victory for my opponent. I cannot believe how close this game was. 10-point difference. Like I said, had the Foot of Gork not done what it did, it would have been a huge, huge victory for my opponent. I wouldn't have probably gotten the Orc Boar Boys because my bruiser was on his last wound. Definitely wouldn't have gotten that little... Well, maybe I would have gotten the caster. Who knows? But it is what it is. That's part of the game. And yeah, the greenskins, man, they're hectic. My Iron Guts. They really, really caught the wrath of the greenskins. But they died horribly, but I was impressed by how much damage it actually took. Like how much they could soak with just a 5-up armor, 5-up regen before that unit was finally destroyed. They weren't really viable by the time they could charge the goblins. I thought about it, but then it was like, even with impact hits, if I got them, I don't remember. I think I was too close. But even with impact hits and everything, combat res just wasn't going to go my way. I didn't have the confidence. Doom Divers, speaking of confidence, are horribly accurate. I mean, Suicide Bombers, I get it, but oh my god, those things. I have respect for them, don't get me wrong, but now I fear them. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with my Iron Guts. I'm not really sure how I could have been. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? But this was a really close game, and it was super intense, and I would love a rematch because this was a ton of fun. Okay, this is kind of exciting. I get to add more to the Orcs and Goblins list, which is something I haven't been able to do for a few months. Characters, there were no Night Goblin big bosses on the table, so obviously I didn't add to that. However, I did add my very first Night Goblin Obnob to it. Thank you, Foot of Gork. I did get the Orc Big Boss. That's another first, which is huge. Thank you, Lord Tremendous. And in Core, I know I didn't kill the Fanatics. I know I don't get any points for them, but they died on the table. I'm taking it. My Ogres will eat them and send the bones to the great King Hotep. Period. I did kill 12 of the Night Goblins, even though the Foot of Gork helped a lot with that, bringing my total up to 33, which feels good. There were new Black Orcs on the table, but I did get all the Spider Riders, and that was all Ogre, baby. 20 of them, which is another first for this Pyre, which I'm very pleased about. And then another first, 11 Orc Boar Boys. So outstanding. Nothing in special, which actually makes me wonder. The 2 times I've run into Orcs and Goblins, there's been no special choices. That's interesting. And then in Rare, I got a Doom Diver Catapult, bringing the total up to 2. And another first, 2 Mangler Squigs, which, again, thank you, Foot of Gork, and thank you, Shyhammer, wherever you are. And we can just take a minute to appreciate how many humans I have killed and sent to the great King Hotep. Move the High Elves over next to their neglected Dark Elf cousins. No changes here. I just like to look at the numbers. No changes here, obviously, but I like seeing all the Demons and Warriors of Chaos return to the Warp for retraining. Yes, the Dead Wood Elves and Tomb Kings. Haven't run into those guys in a while. I'd like to kill some more soon. But that's going to do it for this one. Another battle report in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But as always, thanks!